I don't even know how we got there, because I tried to make it clear how many civil rights, it doesn't just boil down to one conversation, but I can see that somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now.
You all want men with penises, chicks with in the bathroom with us. You want women to be forced to undress in front of men in the locker room and in dressing rooms. And it's so hypocritical for you to sit here and say and be, screaming from the rooftops about right to privacy and civil rights when you don't respect women. And you don't respect women who've been raped, women who are victims of sexual abuse. And you want me, a victim of rape, a survivor of rape, to go into a locker room and be forced to undress in front of a man? You have to be kidding me. So I don't want to hear about you talk about rights, individual rights, civil rights, because you can't find the courage from the 60s to fight for women all around America. Fight for women like me, every single woman.
She gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or
Do
not.
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I
will.
am reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that. I
Order.
am not a
Chairman,
child.
I am
not a
reclaiming
child.
my time. And I am curious to know, for whoever goes next, do you ask your constituents when they call your office, are you a citizen or not? Because at the end of the day, I have to handle immigration cases as well in my office. We are elected to represent the people regardless of their citizenship, and we have to help them because they reside in our districts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think we should be taking the advice from a group of people who can't define what a woman is. You certainly can't define what government efficiency is. So let's just start right there, Mr. Chairman. I support the subcommittee, the creation of the subcommittee on DOJ. I wildly support Marjorie Taylor Greene as the subcommittee chairwoman. And again, to the party who says we don't like or support women, well, guess what? We have two women on this committee who are subcommittee chairwomen who carry gavels. And we're working for the President of the United States, the president who made the first female chief of staff ever in the history of the United States. And I also want to correct the record of the ranking member earlier. There's no Republican up here who has cut Social Security. That is a lie. That is a lie being promulgated by the left, aided and abetted by the mainstream media, and all those liars out there on social media on the left saying that is not true. And when we want to talk about oligarchy, we had Joe Biden, we had Nancy Pelosi, we had Chuck Schumer, controlling everything on the Hill and the Capitol for years. And guess what? They've all delivered. They delivered the worst economy in history for Donald Trump. They have delivered more terrorists coming across the southern border than any administration in history. And so this subcommittee is greatly needed, Mr. Chairman. I hope that we all support it unanimously. Ms. Greene, you're going to do a great job as subcommittee chairwoman. I would love to be waved on anytime you let me, because it's time that we stop wasting American taxpayers. It is time that we stop wasting time up here on the Hill. We stop wasting time here in Congress talking about BS.
Let me tell you something. Y'all need to find some people that actually care about their constituents. And honestly, whenever y'all are ready to work, we on this side of the aisle have always been ready to do what is right by the American people. Instead, what you can continue to do is go after the most vulnerable in our country. The fact that you just sat up there and somehow figured out how to tie trans folk to your argument makes no sense to me. But let me tell you something. Trans people ain't going nowhere. Just like when the racists wanted to make sure that black people somehow were going to be dismissed in this country. We ain't left either.
So I have a series of questions for you, Mr. Santos, that are yes or no. And so I would ask that you use yes or no when I ask these questions. Did the U.S. Census Bureau do anything to identify the immigration or citizenship status of individuals surveyed during the 2020 census, yes or no?
No.
Are illegals counted in the census, yes or no?
Yes, if they're permanent residents, if they reside in the U.S.
Okay, so when you're doing the census with folks and asking the question, you're asking them if You're not asking if they're a citizen. You're asking, do you ask if they're a permanent resident?
We asked folks to list everyone who lives at that residence.
Okay, but you're saying you're only counting illegals if they're a permanent resident.
Well, if they live at that residence. It's the interpretation of the
So
instructions
your
of the
definition of
person.
permanent residence is that they live at a place in the U.S., at a U.S. address.
Yes, I believe I misspoke because there's a legal
Oh, you
definition
definitely
to permanent,
misspoke.
to permanent
Okay.
resident. It's someone who usually lives at that address.
So I'm going to ask the question again. Are illegal aliens, criminal illegal aliens, the people that break the law coming into our country when they enter in the door illegally, are they counted in the U.S. Census, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Are there political implications for congressional apportionment and the Electoral College when we're counting non-citizens, when we're counting illegals, criminal illegal aliens in the census, yes or no?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the question.
Are there political implications for congressional apportionment and the Electoral College when you are counting criminal illegal aliens in the U.S. Census?
I do not know.
Oh, you absolutely know. Because apportionment is based on what? Is it based on what? Population?
Yes.
Population based on counts in the what? U.S. Census?
Correct.
All right, you're the director of the U.S. Census Bureau, correct?
Correct.
Why is this so difficult for you to answer honestly?
Well, no, it is what it is. So
What
if there's
is
more
what it is?
population,
What is
then
what it
you get.
is? You just said you didn't know if there were political implications for congressional apportionment in the Electoral College when
Well,
you're counting illegals.
In all honesty, I am not a politician. I'm a scientist, and so we do our counts according to
Okay,
the
Mr.
Constitution.
Science,
and-
Mr. Science.
Sure, yes, ma'am.
When you're doing apportionment, when you're doing congressional seats based on population that includes illegal aliens, does that have a political impact in campaigns when you're drawing those lines and having people vote in those elections?
They are counted in apportionment, yes.
Okay. You're not being honest this morning, and I think it's a slap in the face to the American people.
It is interesting that we're having this hearing, and I know one thing that I have learned so far is that while freshman orientation just ended, we need a course on what the census is for, because we have people sitting in Congress and have no idea what the census is for. And so I do appreciate that you have talked about what the funding is for, but it seems like my colleagues really want to zero in on southern states. So let's talk about Texas for a second. And let's deal with them and their concerns about their districts. And let's also talk about the citizen situation. So I don't know how much you've paid attention to the election, but we do have an incoming administration, and we have a border czar who has said that they are going to deport everyone that is here and is not a citizen. They are planning to do mass deportations. In fact, in the state of Texas, our commissioner has offered up land so that they can put these camps there and send people out of our country. Now, if you start asking people, are you a citizen or not, and they're living in a home, and somebody's threatening to go in and raid homes and take everybody out and send them back to wherever they came from, I mean, I would imagine that may make people say, never mind, I'm not going to fill this out. But I mean, has that been your finding or no?
We have conducted research that shows that there can be selective inclusion of individuals who reside in a residence because of
Exactly, because you've got the federal government that is asking this question, and it's the same federal government that is threatening to go and yank people out of their schools, their homes, and things like that. And then we just had a conversation where we were talking about how many voters. Listen, when you're counting people, you're not just counting voters. You count children, don't you?
Correct.
You count a lot of people that aren't necessarily voters, and I want to make sure that we really get to the nitty-gritty on Texas, because this is hilarious to me. Texas added 2 seats. In 2020, according to the census, and we know that there was a significant undercount, specifically in Texas for a combination of reasons, but we know that specifically Texas added 4 million people. Of those 4 million people, do you want to take a guess at how many were Anglos? Just a guess.
I'd say a majority.
180,000. That's it, of 4 million. 95% of the people that were added, and we know that when it comes to minority populations, they tend to be undercounted. So get this, we added 4 million people. They were people of color. Texas got 2 new seats. So they took those black and brown and Asian bodies, and guess what? Do you think that we got a new black, brown, or Asian seat? Somehow, the way that they do their Republican math in the state of Texas, that amounted to 2 new white seats. Guess what? White Republican seats. We got 2 new Republican seats out of 4 million people of color. So let me tell you, they love to use our bodies to apportion us in an inaccurate way. All right? So when we talk about our districts, I also want to talk about something that Texas is taking advantage of that I've worked on a lot. In fact, I did legislation on. It is called prison gerrymandering. I don't know if you are familiar with it.
I'm familiar.
But here is the reality. The numbers show that in rural Texas, they were constantly bleeding population. Urban Texas was growing exponentially. But what they do is they count inmates where they are imprisoned instead of counting them where it is that they will return to. So their family members that are in Dallas, Texas, or Houston, or wherever, their family members, when they need something, they call us, even if it's relating to that inmate. But somehow rural Texas is getting better roads than they probably deserve because they're counting those inmates that are not driving on those roads. They're counting those inmates that are not using their hospitals. They're counting those inmates whose children are not attending their schools because of prison gerrymandering. So again, Republicans are really good about using black and brown bodies because I can also tell you that the numbers are clear that we have a black and brown incarceration issue, not just in Texas, but in this country. And in fact, the state of Texas incarcerates more people than any other independent democratic country. That is how bad our incarceration is just in the state of Texas. And I've got so many great colleagues on this committee that actually benefit from being able to do things like that. So listen, this is about resources. It's about putting the resources where the people are. And I am curious to know, for whoever goes next, do you ask your constituents when they call your office, are you a citizen or not? Because at the end of the day, I have to handle immigration cases as well in my office. We are elected to represent the people regardless of their citizenship, and we have to help them because they reside in our districts.
Ms. Green, you're going to do a great job as subcommittee chairwoman. I would love to be waved on anytime you let me, because it's time that we stop wasting American taxpayers. It is time that we stop wasting time up here on the Hill. We stop wasting time here in Congress talking about BS. And someone brought up dignity earlier. I would love to see dignity and respect for women up here on the Hill, which is why we should ban men from women's spaces, which is why we should ban men from the locker rooms, from women's locker rooms, which is why we should ban men from women's dressing rooms. I'm done with this. We got to get back to common sense. We got to get back to fighting and working hard for the American people, and we've got to do it together. So you guys can talk all you want on the left side of the aisle. You're not going to be successful because there was a mandate in November, the most historic mandate by Donald John Trump. And the American people want us to get our stuff together. Notice how I'm not cursing today. They want us to get our stuff together and work for the American people. And that starts now. That can start with the DOJ subcommittee. That can start with every committee on the Hill today if we put in the effort and the work to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and now I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Anybody? Chair? Ms. Crockett? Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
I'm so glad that we could finally end that nice little propaganda commercial break. Listen, I don't know what Ms. Mace was talking about. I thought we were talking about government efficiency. And the last time that I checked, this committee in the 118th, just like in the 119th, has been governed by the Republicans. Chairman, is it not true that you were the chairman in the 118th? You were. Okay. So the Republicans have controlled this committee. So my question is, why is it that you need to create an entirely new subcommittee when you literally could go through and do whatever work it is that you're talking about handing over to the gentle lady who has never seemingly brought up anything about efficiency? The only thing I recall from the 118th was her spending a lot of time on somebody's junk in this committee. So let me be clear. Y'all had a chance. You chose not to use it. So why should the American people be convinced that now all of a sudden, because you create a new committee that has been promulgated by a real oligarch, you're talking about Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they were actually duly elected, not somebody sitting there buying Twitter and just happened to be the richest person in the world telling y'all what to do. Let me tell you something. Y'all need to find some people that actually care about their constituents. And honestly, whenever y'all are ready to work, we on this side of the aisle have always been ready to do what is right by the American people. Instead, what you can continue to do is go after the most vulnerable in our country. The fact that you just sat up there and somehow figured out how to tie trans folk to your argument makes no sense to me. But let me tell you something. Trans people ain't going nowhere, just like when the racists wanted to make sure that black people somehow were going to be dismissed in this country. We ain't left either.
During the 118th Congress, Oversight Republicans disbanded one of the most important subcommittees in Congress, the Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. And now in the 119th Congress, the chairman and House Republicans have decided to prioritize the demands of the real president, Elon Musk, and his billionaire friends over the needs of the American people. Now, we are about to approach the birthday of Martin Luther King. It's actually tomorrow. And on January 20th will be the inauguration of Donald Trump, but it will also be the observation of MLK Day. And the fact that we have decided that in this country we are not going to honor civil rights should be something that we all take issue with. Considering the fact, for some that don't know what civil rights are about, because some people only believe that it deals with black folk, let me explain. Civil and political rights are a class of rights that protect individuals' freedom from the infringement by governments, social organizations, and private individuals. They ensure one's entitlement to participate in the civil and political life of society and the state. Defined another way, the right to be free from discrimination, the freedom to worship as we choose, the right to vote for our elected representatives, the protections of due process, the right to privacy. If any of that sounds familiar, it is because these are rights that are born out of our Constitution, something that we all supposedly have sworn an oath to, and we swear to not only, we don't just swear to it, we are supposed to protect those rights. Interestingly enough, we just had the funeral of one of our beloved presidents. And I caught a flight to Austin on the day of the funeral. And I had the honor of sitting next to someone who was a little familiar with the White House. That person was Lucy Baines Johnson. And when I tell you that she is a wealth of information, I really mean that. And when we had an opportunity to talk about what she experienced as her father was president during a time in which, honestly, our country was on fire, and I would argue that, unfortunately, our country is on fire right now. When I first ran for office, I ran for the State House and said that we were in the midst of a modern-day civil rights movement, and I have not been convinced otherwise just yet. But this is the daughter of the president that signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. She was also there when he signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And to be perfectly honest, without that voting rights, I don't believe that I actually would have a seat in Congress. And so I do believe in preserving the fact that everyone should be entitled to real and true representation, because I do have a Section 2 seat as our Voting Rights Act has been decimated. But one of the stories that she told me was that her father asked her about coming over to the Congress for the signing of the bill as it relates to the Voting Rights Act. Now, for her, it was a bit inconvenient as an 18-year-old to have to leave the White House and go over to Congress. And she asked her father, why should we go over to the Congress, Daddy, to sign this particular bill? And she said, we need to go over to the Congress because we need to pay due respect to those members of Congress that knew that voting for this bill meant that they would not be returning to Congress, but they had the courage to do what was right for this country and make sure that everyone's voices were going to be heard. The one thing that we could do, the very small thing that we could do, is have a little bit of courage and decide that we are going to reinstitute this particular subcommittee because, unfortunately, I don't see the type of courage that the people that served back in the 60s had coming out of some of our colleagues. And so I'm asking you to do the courageous thing today and just institute a subcommittee that would make sure that we are looking out for those protections of everyone in this country to make sure that we have real freedom, something that we all supposedly espouse to believe in. And with that, I will yield.
Mr. Chairman.
Gentlelady's time's expired. Any member seek recognition?
Yes.
Mr. Higgins? Oh, Ms. Mace was first. I'm sorry. Ms. Mace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I don't know what's going on today. I find it extremely rich and offensive. So we're talking about civil rights. I'm the former ranking member on the Civil Rights Subcommittee, something I believe in civil rights and civil liberties of all Americans. And we were talking about infringement of individual people. Also, quote, the right to privacy of individuals. Coming from a party that can't define what a woman is and won't give women the right to privacy. As a rape survivor, I shouldn't have to explain to you why women have rights and why women, when we're in the bathroom, when we're in the locker room, when we're in a dressing room, why I don't feel safe when there is a man nearby. And the fact that we're going here and we're going to say all these things is the ripeness of hypocrisy on the Hill. People need to tell the truth. And if we're going to talk about the rights of individuals, we have to talk about it. Everybody has rights, including women. And at some point, men are infringing on the rights of women. We just had it today. We just had a vote about protecting women and girls in sports. And I believe it wasn't one, it was two people from the Democrat Party who voted to protect women's rights in sports today. Two. So this is, Mr. Chairman, this is a deeply offensive conversation to me today. We want to talk about real freedom. Women have freedom in this country. Women have the freedom to go to a private women's only space and not see a man in it. Women have the right to change and not be feared that somebody with their sexual perversion, someone who's confused about their gender, we have the right to feel safe in these spaces. We have the right to know that we're not going to have trans people filming us in the bathroom. How many of these trannies are taking selfies, these men are taking selfies in women's spaces, in the bathroom? It's gross, it's disgusting. So if we're gonna talk about civil rights, let's talk about the rights of women in this country and how you are stripping them away every single day. And you're doing it in your legislation, you're doing it in your messaging, you're doing it on X. You're making women feel unsafe in this country. And you're making the opportunity for women and girls to be raped, to be sexually abused in this country, even greater than they've ever been. So don't come over here with your attitude and talk to me about rights when you're trying to take my rights as a woman, a rape survivor, away. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All of the mayors here today are actively working to harm the American people you represent. You all have blood on your hands. I'm going to ask a series of yes or no questions today, and I would like to remind all of you, you are under oath. I only want a yes or a no to my questions. My first question, do you acknowledge breaking into our country as a crime? Mayor Adams, yes or no? Do you acknowledge breaking into our country as a crime?
I acknowledge.
Yes or no?
I acknowledge.
Okay, Honorable Johnson, he's not going to answer the question. Yes or no? Is breaking into our country against the law? Yes or no?
Depends how you cross the border.
Okay,
Some folks
Mayor
have
Johnson,
status.
yes or no?
Comprehensive immigration
that's not an
reform
answer.
policies
Mayor
are what's
Wu?
necessary in this
Mayor Wu,
moment.
do you have a better answer than these gentlemen before you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, do you believe it's acceptable for illegals who commit heinous crimes be released back into the public instead of being detained and deported? Mayor Adams, yes or no?
Anyone break a crime.
Yes or no? This is not hard. Yes or no?
Anyone that break a crime should be detained.
Okay, Mayor, yes or no?
They should be deported.
Okay, Mayor.
Any individual
Yes
that
or
causes
no?
harm
Yes or
and
no?
breaks the
Okay, Mayor
law
Wu?
should be held accountable.
This is why you have 6% approval rating, because you suck at answering questions. Mayor Wu? Yes or no?
Anyone who's a public safety threat should be prosecuted.
All right, I have my next question. When an illegal alien rapes a woman, do you believe you're on the right side of history? Mayor Adams, yes or no?
Can we say that question again?
Okay, Mayor Johnston. When an illegal alien rapes a woman, do you believe you're on the right side of history? Yes or no?
I will charge and prosecute them.
Yes or no? Okay, well, okay, you said you would go to jail, didn't you?
I will
For
charge and
harboring illegal
prosecute
aliens
anyone
or
who
something, Mayor Johnson?
Could you repeat your question, please?
When an illegal alien rapes a woman, do you believe you're on the right side of history?
Could you clarify that question?
Okay, Mayor Wu, yes or no?
No, rape is obviously
Then
horrible.
why are you letting rapists back out onto the streets of Boston?
That is not true. That is
Okay.
not what's happening in
When
Boston.
an illegal alien molests a kid, molests an underage kid, do you pat yourself on the back for being compassionate? Mayor Adams?
It's despicable and he should be arrested.
Mayor Johnston?
I prosecute folks that commit crimes like that.
You guys let him out on the streets. Mayor Johnson?
We arrest violent criminals in the city of Chicago.
Mayor Wu?
We investigate, arrest, and prosecute.
You guys don't sound very confident today. Would your city honor an ICE detainer on an illegal alien who rapes kids if one was issued today? Mayor Adams? Yes or no?
In conformance with law, we will honor detainers.
Mayor Johnson?
If there's a criminal warrant, we'll help them pick them up. If there's no criminal warrant, we'll honor a notification request.
Mayor Johnson?
Criminal warrants, we always cooperate with federal agents with a criminal warrant.
Mayor Wu?
Get a criminal warrant, we will enforce.
A criminal warrant. I'm talking about an ICE detainer on an individual who's here illegal who rapes kids. Do you all hate Donald Trump more than you love your country? Mayor Adams?
I respect my president. I respect my
Yes
country.
or no?
and I
You're having the
respect
hardest time
our
today.
Senate.
Mayor Johnston?
I love my country.
Yes or no?
I love my
Okay.
country.
Mayor Johnson?
As the son of a pastor, I love everyone and this country.
Mayor Wu?
I love my country and my city.
Do you all, are you all willing to go to jail for violating federal law? Mayor Adams?
I'm not going to violate federal law, so I don't have to worry about that.
Mayor Johnston?
We don't violate federal law either.
You don't violate federal law.
We do not violate federal law.
Is it violating federal law if you don't honor detainer requests from ICE?
Absolutely not. In fact, the statute Congressman Biggs shared, we explicitly follow. The statute says you cannot prohibit city employees from sharing information about someone's status with the government. We do not prohibit that.
Do you love illegal aliens more than you love your fellow countrymen?
I love all the residents of the city and county.
Mayor Johnston, are you willing to go to jail for violating federal law?
The city of Chicago complies with all laws.
Oh, I highly doubt that. Mayor Wu?
We are not violating federal law.
Mayor Wu, I have a last couple questions for you. Do you believe that ICE arresting a child rapist, quote, threatens everyone's safety, end quote? Yes or no?
No.
Does ICE arresting a murderous MS-13 gang member threaten everyone's safety? Yes or no?
No.
I would like to hold up this quote of you where you say, ICE's efforts actually threaten the safety of everyone, end quote, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. You're a hypocrite. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Chair recognizes
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent
Subramanian.
request. Mr. Chairman, I have unanimous consent request.
Proceed.
I'd like to seek unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, and I'll do this as a survivor of sexual violence myself. This is from Courts, March 2018.
Without objection, so ordered.
Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born
Without objection, so ordered. We've put it in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Wu, I am grateful for our longstanding partnership in public service. I'm grateful to be your congresswoman as well as your constituent. Can I get that time back? All right. Again, grateful for our longstanding partnership in public service, grateful to be your congresswoman, and grateful to be your constituent. It's clear my colleagues across the aisle didn't do their homework because the fears and division they're trying to project onto Boston are really the stuff of Fox News fever dreams. Our city is vibrant, our city is diverse, our city is beautiful. Mayor Wu, immigration is central to the economic success of Boston, is it not?
Absolutely. All of our key industries, whether it's healthcare, life sciences, higher education, financial services, everything that we do depends on immigrant residents and the contributions that they make.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. Immigration defines Boston. For generations, our city has been shaped by people who have endured incredible hardships to arrive at our shores seeking a better life. They drove taxis, opened restaurants, studied at our schools, built homes, repaired our roads and bridges, cared for patients, cleaned offices, built businesses, provided essential early education and childcare for our babies. There is no doubt immigration is essential to the success of Boston, but there is, in fact, a dark threat looming over this great city. That threat is the racist and xenophobic anti-immigrant policies coming from this Trump White House. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this Boston Globe article titled, "They're Going to Deport Us. Trump's immigration policies prompt some children to skip school."
Without objection, so ordered.
Mayor Wu, I've been speaking to principals and educators in Boston at various roundtables and town halls that I've convened, and the stories are heartbreaking. Elementary school children are crying in their teachers' arms, fearful that they're going to lose their parents to cruel and unjust deportation raids. Mayor Wu, last week I met with an esteemed doctor from a local Boston hospital who reported that follow-up appointments in her clinic have seen a 200% spike in no-shows and cancellations. Her assessment, her patients are missing critical care like dialysis, prenatal care, and chemotherapy because of a fear of immigration raids in our hospitals and healthcare settings. Mayor Wu, do you agree with this healthcare provider?
Absolutely. We hear it from our shared constituents. People are afraid, and that is having huge impact on their daily lives when they're just trying to do right and be a good example for their kids as they pursue the American dream.
Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this article titled, "Fearful Amid ICE Crackdown, Some Immigrants Are Skipping Healthcare."
Without objection, so ordered.
So here we have a man who thinks he is king, screaming anti-immigrant slurs from the Oval Office and what it has done to make Boston safer. Nothing, not a thing. But it has traumatized our kids, cost our elders their dialysis, delayed cancer patients' chemotherapy, and struck fear into the heart of hardworking people who not only contribute immensely to our city and our community, but whose labor and contributions are also essential to the very functions of daily life in our great city. The members of this committee would be well served by learning from our esteemed mayor, but a teach-in is not the charge of this committee. Remind my colleagues, this committee's purpose is oversight. The only person who has something to answer for is Donald Trump. He is single-handedly decimating decades of economic progress, vilifying our immigrant neighbors, and disregarding the Constitution and basic decency daily. This man points to our most vulnerable, scapegoats them for every hardship, while he himself is actually the source of the hardship that the American people are experiencing. My colleagues don't really care about criminality. If you really cared about criminality, you would do something about Elon Musk's power grab, stealing our data. You would do something about efforts to defund the National Institutes of Health cancer research. If you really cared about criminality, you would do something about people that want to rob our babies of food. Make it make sense. My Republican colleagues across the aisle believe a 6-year-old from El Salvador who wants to go to school and a mom who fled violence in Haiti are the reason that the cost of eggs are too damn high. And your housing and gas will follow suit shortly because of these Donald Trump tariffs. The shameful Republican ripoff slashing away at basic government services to line the pockets of Donald Trump's buddies so they can buy toy yachts and rocket ships. It is a shame and a sham. America has a problem, and it is Donald Trump. And if my colleagues really cared about criminality, they would do something about him. I'm grateful that the people of Boston and my mayor stand with their neighbors from every walk of life. I yield back.